Good morning and welcome to Committee of the Whole of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis. I hope you had a productive this part of the summer. There's still a few weeks left, or 10 days, something like that. I spent most of August with Nadine and the Deputy Warden and individual councillors giving out money. It's a delightful task. Roll call, beginning with District 1, please.
Bruce Prout.
District 2, Brian Fuzzy-Connell.
District 3, Dustin Henslow.
District 4, Clyde Barton.
District 5, Lynn Longmire.
District 6, Alec Morrison.
District 7, David Hudson.
District 8, Michael Young.
District 9, Wendy Sheridan.
District 10, Brad Reddy.
District 11, Diane Linda.
Thank you. Are there any disclosures of interest? Any changes to the order of the day? Any changes to the minutes? We'll move to page 8, please, which is an information report. Thank you. We'll move to page 10. Well, we're all here. We're prepared. We read. If we have anything to say, we'll say it. Okay, Councillor LeBlanc.
On that page 8 in the discussion part, when I read it, it said there were 14 properties that were inspected, but one is landlocked. There was no that one lot in green land is inaccessible to staff. So is it landlocked or just inaccessible?
There is no access to the lot that staff can get to. They would have to go through the woods for an extended period of time. Probably have to take a four-wheeler, I'm not sure, because there is no road to it.
Oh, but it's not landlocked.
Well, it technically is, because there is no access to the lot. It's just in the middle of the woods.
And how many acres are we talking about, or is it just a small portion?
No, it's a fairly large parcel of land. I think it's probably about 40 acres.
Ooh.
You mean 40 acres? You know, turn this thing around.
We did it.
Oh, we know it.
Right, so,
Okay. Councillor
All right, thank
Bartow.
you.
Councillor Bartow, please.
It might be landlocked, walking through, but you must have a right of way for it. I would think. If we don't realize you can't have this land that you can't have access to. So if that's an issue, we should get that resolved.
That lot was probably something that was given by someone who passed away, and they donated the piece of land, only
Even still, we might have
currently cannot get
so good, but you have to have access to any property. Yes, sir.
yes, you do. You can. In Nova Scotia, you can go through the landlocked. You can landlock a piece of land.
Right of ways at the minimum.
I will pass that over to our Director of Municipal Operations, and we can look into that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please,
If I may, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of land in Nova Scotia, and even in Annapolis County that are landlocked that there's no access to. Now, there is a right under the Anglers Act that you have a right to walk across people's property for fishing and so on and so forth, but if you want a piece of property that's landlocked, because other people own it, there's no legal obligation for them to give you a right of way to give you access across their property and into your property.
I'd argue that.
So, because you can bring on a map and show you all kinds of properties that there's no right of way or access.
Maybe there is, but if you went to sell it or anything, you can't sell property without access to it.
No, you can, but you can't develop. You can't develop it for residential use because zoning doesn't allow you to put a house in unless you have a road frontage somewhere. So there's a regulation around that for the most part. But these lots were created long before zoning and all those types of things. So there's lots of lots around that. And if it's 40 acres and you want to do something with it, then it's incumbent upon the owner to gain access from another property owner to go across their property, but they could all say no. There's no legal obligation.
Councillor Cotw, followed by Councillor Crouch, please.
Well, I looked into this before. And if you request a right-of-way to a piece of landlocked land, the county has to get you a right-of-way.
We don't have any authority to do that.
You have the right to expropriate from other landowners to give a 30-foot right-of-way. I've been involved with it. And it comes down that the county does it. There's a provincial law that you do not have to own a piece of landlocked land. There's provisions to put a right-of-way to it.
Yeah, and if I may, Mr. I'm not familiar with any of that. There is the Expropriation Act in Nova Scotia does allow the municipality to expropriate land, but it must be for a municipal purpose. So it wouldn't allow us to expropriate land and give it to somebody else for a right of way. It would have to be for a municipal purpose.
I'm pretty sure they put blame me back that the county was the one to give the right of way.
No, because we'd be into millions and millions of dollars for expropriating people's land all the time to give people access. So
There is an act,
yeah, there is expropriation, but it's only for our own purposes.
but there is an act to deal with right-of-ways. I've dealt with it.
Okay, we can look, staff will look and see what's there.
Thank you. Councillor Crouch.
Just to further muddy the water, I had a piece of property in the Yarmouth County, 56 acres and so on, and there was nothing written down for a right-of-way. And people I bought it from said, "Oh, old Mr. Smith, whatever, that's my logging road, you can go in there anytime." But when it came to sell it, it was landlocked. I was offered the opportunity to, at my own expense, put a 5-kilometer road in through the woods on Crown land, up to environmental standards and so on. And long story short, when I did sell it, it was at quite a reduced rate because of that issue. But it was landlocked, as this one apparently is, and the buyer was able to work a deal with someone else to get access. He had a little bit more not pull, but he knew a lot of the players in that area. So yeah, it seems to be all around the pickle pond as to whether you can or can't, but it does happen. I have experienced that. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Gunn.
You leave it alone now. So there isn't some maps there, but the surveys, we bought a piece of land here a few years ago, and it's basically landlocked. And there's a road that goes so far, actually, to our county valve there for the Lake Katy stores. There's a road that was built to a valve. And Buddy, who owns next to it, owns the road or the land on both sides of the road and claims he owns that section of the road. So he stopped us from going on to our property, right, which is just over the way. And as it turns out, we didn't fight him over or anything, but there's an old, if there's a road and it was built with government funds of any sort, then it's not a private road. It can never be. If it's built with the public purse, it's always a public road. Simple as that. And you can dispute it all you want.
Thank you.
But
Further discussion. All right.
Oh, Councillor LeBlanc.
Where is she? There she is. Councillor LeBlanc, please.
Thank you very much for all of this discussion, because it certainly was something I was wondering about, because if we probably have more than one piece that more or less is landlocked. So are we going to, is our CAO going to direct or look into what is going to go on here with these pieces of land and how we can deal with them?
Yeah.
At this point in time, they're just in our inventory, and so there was a committee previously established, a forestry committee that was looking at determining if there was a future use for these properties. Otherwise, they just stay in our land holdings until such time as council decides there's a need to use one.
So it's going to stay status quo as it is until we need to use it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair. Okay. Page 10, please. Councillor Bartow.
Here we are. Recommendations. Move that municipal council amend AN 1.2.0 committees of council meetings procedures policy by adding Article 3, regular meetings of council. There shall be no regular meeting during the month of August, and Article 5, committees of council meetings. There shall be no regular meetings during the month of August.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Page 27. Councillor Hudson, please, and Councillor Hudson, at the end of the first paragraph, and that. The whole
Okay. I move that municipal council use the proceeds from the sale of the former town of Bridgetown Town Hall to fund the redevelopment of the lands adjacent to the former Bridgetown Town Hall, home of the municipality of the County of Annapolis, as a paid parking area with associated amenities, and that the municipal council authorize the withdrawal of up to $186,702 from the capital reserve to be used for this purpose.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Councillor Enslow. Discussion. Councillor Bartow, followed by Councillor Cotw.
So this, the money being taken out, that's the full amount of that's the sale of the town hall, okay? And if that whole amount is not used, should we only be taking up this contract for that? What's that parking area?
That's why it says, I think that's why it says up to.
What is that? Sure.
Thank you. Councillor Connell, please.
The only concern I had was I had no issue with them taking the funding and spending it. It's their money, do whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned. My concern is that we've had pavers there. We've had an island there for the last 2 years. And I personally don't think that we should be taking care of it. If they want to put flowers in there, they better have a committee to take care of the flowers. Because our staff in the county, for one thing, hasn't got the time to maintain flower gardens in any community, because they don't. And I don't think that parking lot should get any more preference than the rest of our county. I think that if the area is made there for them to put something in it, if they want to put something in it and maintain it, that's fine. I don't think our staff should be down there doing the flowers every year and taking care of the garden part of it, because in Paradise, a family goes up and down that sidewalk every day watering them flowers. Our staff doesn't. Nicktoll, there's no flowers. Marcusville, there's no flowers. You know, so the only thing that I was concerned about is that they're asking for all the stuff to be there. And I just don't want to see the taxpayers of the county all of a sudden have to take up and take care of it. If they want it, I have no problem with it. But I don't think the taxpayers should be on the hook to maintain it.
Thank you. Councillor Enslow, please.
Thank you. I find it interesting that we are literally talking about in the weeds on this situation. But at the meeting, it was clearly noted that the strong volunteer committee that's part of the Chamber of Commerce would be the ones that would be looking after the flower beds. It would not be the responsibility of the county. They currently look after all of the flower beds going down Queen Street, including watering, and they use the summer student as well for the visitor information center to help out with that. So this would not be a county task to maintain the flowers, water the flowers. That would fall under that same project. That's what they were asking originally, for a water ticket or a water line to be put in there, so they could have access to do those things, and it wouldn't be a county thing.
Thank you. Councillor Barfield, second time.
This extension, the first time I ever got cut off on my second mortgage, should have started that off by saying I had 2 points, but I didn't. So here goes. On the last page 30, it talks about development on the lands that only be claimed back, which is what the landlocked. It would go landlocked. With the commercial parking lot for the town, that qualified if we signed properly for access to get to it, if there was a commercial establishment built in that location. So I'm just wondering that if we're approving this, if the card hit the horse is a problem, to make sure that we have our ducks in line, that if a developer or the county wanted to do a development in that location, that we could not be avoiding the possibility.
I'll give you a layout so you have an idea of what it looks like. So the land's all ours. So once you come off the main road where the sidewalk is, you'll see in the back where it's got the 4 big trees, which are just there for placeholders. There's public access there now, and there's access for us. So when people go in the parking lot, what's planned is there'll be parking spaces in the back, you'll see there. But if that back lot where the trees are is developed, it just means we're going to have to squeeze out some of those parking spaces and provide access back there that way. Yeah. And there is a 10-foot right-of-way, as we talked about before, but the right-of-way is for the neighbor next door, it's not for us. So there is access through that parking lot to get to the next lot if it's needed.
It's the proposed paved area, including that back section.
Everything you see in that picture is paved.
Just want to be clear. Yeah. And so, if you don't know, future development, but just thinking if they have deliveries in a facility. Deliveries through a parking lot becomes problematic, or could be.
Yeah, and the property is subject to some environmental contamination, so there is restrictions on that anyway, so what it could be used for is going to be very limited anyway. So.
Who was it? And they put up a parking lot? All right, anything further? Further discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I guess it's suggested in here that the people that work in town, it's suggested to them that they park elsewhere. And if that is the case, who is going to police that?
Signage.
Signage. County?
No, I guess, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure where that's written. I don't think I wrote that in my report.
No, I know it's not in the report.
No, and there's no way to police it. You can put signage up all you want, it's not going to happen. So potentially based on the schematic you have, there's probably spaces for 32, 33 spaces there for parking spaces. And if the local business people or staff all park there, hurts themselves. And so if I'm a business owner, I enforce it with my staff and tell my staff not to park there. So that's going to be up to the Chamber of Commerce, it's going to be up to the business community to enforce it. We can put signs up, but we don't have any way to enforce it. So.
Councillor Enslow, please.
I know Mr. LeBlanc or Councilor LeBlanc has something to say, but just on the point of the parking, that is something that the Chamber of Commerce are planning to manage by talking to their membership, which would be the members that park there, to express where they really should be parking, because there is areas outside of, well, still within the business district, but behind, that the owners should be parking in to have those free spaces for the patrons that would be coming to buy stuff. So the Chamber of Commerce is well aware of that, and they have a plan once this is all done to not really police that, but have some strong word conversations with their membership on where to park and where not to park. It's the same discussion of, trying to get the companies to get the deliveries off of Queen Street. So there should be, because behind each side of the road, there's actually delivery parking lots. So they're working with that to get the companies to deliver at the back, so we don't have transport trucks going down Queen Street. So hopefully that would deal with itself. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc, please, followed by Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. I guess I had same thing with the flowers, and they've been taken care of because the lovely ladies and gentlemen do take care of those. And the parking well, that's always an issue we're going to have to deal with, no matter what. But the landlocked land, I still don't see that. I didn't hear any answer. What can we use, or can that piece that's landlocked in the back be used for? Or do we see any potential of doing something with it so that you make sure it's not landlocked? Look at that piece.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. So the piece isn't landlocked now because we own a piece in front, so we own both pieces of property. So we own the parking lot plus land in the back. So as long as we don't sell the parking lot, then we'll always have access through there. The land obviously can be used for certain limited things. So it has, as I said, has some environmental restrictions on it now because it was a former garage. So any development that takes place would have to respect those environmental rules. Any development that takes place would have to then mitigate or remediate that property from the environmental contamination. And then the property use is subject to zoning. So whatever the applicable zoning is, that would then be the final decision-making tool as far as what you can put on that lot.
Okay, thank you for that. So I didn't realize that the back part was connected to the first part, to the previous Irving or whatever garage it was that was used. So, so the contamination goes way back. What are we talking for size of that lot? Is it big? Or is it just an acre or half an acre? No.
We're just double checking, not sure. It's not substantial.
No, not huge, right? It's just about the same size as the front, more or less.
You're on the computer trying to find
It doesn't have this paper.
It's in the paper, but you still can't tell the back lot of it. So don't have that right in front of me to answer.
Hold on, please. Councillors Longmire, Gunn, and Hudson.
Thank you. I think this is just going to be magnificent. The congestion in itself, running through Bridgetown on both sides of the roads, if this is going to provide 32 parking spaces, I'm hopeful that that congestion will come to be much slower. As Councillor Anslow had pointed out, the parking for offloading the stuff for stores and such makes it really difficult for pedestrians to feel safe crossing that road. So I would just like to think that we will also consider a much stronger looking pedestrian area coming across the road from that parking lot.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. I think it looks fabulous, and I do like where they get the EV chargers back out of the way. I think that makes perfect sense. Now, my question is not about this or the upkeep of the flower beds, but it's quite simple. The land in back of this, didn't the county acquire that a few years ago in a tax sale? we bought it, it was going up on tax sale, and didn't we sort of, where that little water course comes down there? You can't see it on this, but if you were to look in back of this paper here, there was a piece of property that came up a few years ago, and I thought we acquired it in the tax sale. Thank you, and that's all. I think it's great. That's fabulous.
Okay. Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes, just to add a little more information. That property is very low, and there is a brook that goes down through it. So having said that, I think there is limited use for it, because I would consider it as basically a flood area, okay? So just offer that up for information.
I'm going to recommend you and my brother have a talk. My brother owns a piece of land that's a swamp. And he says, come look at my piece of land, it hasn't been developed yet. Councillor Cotw.
Just a question on the chargers. Are they gonna be paid at the charger? Who pays for the power coming out of the charger?
They'll have to be paid, yes. That's the plans. We'll determine what ones are most appropriate to put there, and then there'll have to be a fee associated with using it.
If I may,
Councillor Gunn.
isn't that fee all done though right through your computer nowadays? I know my brother-in-law, wherever he plugs in,
Your credit card or your cheat.
it's all taken care of.
And the reason, if I may, Mr. Chair, the reason they're in the back, so that's what the power is. That's what the power pole is. Otherwise, you'd have to, power lines, we don't want to do that, so that's why they're in the back. But
Well, we don't want to dig up that part.
that's so.
All right.
Perfect.
Deputy Warden.
Thank you. At the danger of being in the weeds, and as someone is preamble to my upcoming conversation about definitions around trees and plants and whatnot, but a broader sense at that time, I noticed here that there was a tree insert, and that we, in the description, talk about plants and shrubs. So if you don't want to maintain plants, we clearly already maintain trees in parks and various places. However, staff could give us a separation of where non-maintained plants, such as we see in Paradise and the nice planters, versus trees which we clearly maintain, such as we see in, well, probably almost all of our property.
So I'm not quite sure what your question is. In this particular property, just to clarify, the only flowers would be in the raised flower bed where the sign is. There's no other flowers anywhere else on the property. The only tree is the Chamber of Commerce has asked for a tree insert to put a Christmas tree there, which will just be a temporary thing for 4 weeks or 5 weeks a year. If they have one now in front of the former town hall, but they're just nervous that property owner says, we don't want it there anymore, this gives them a second option to put a small tree. It can only be a small tree, that's all it fit. That's the only tree that would be on the property in this particular case. There's no maintenance at all for us for trees.
Interesting. I was assuming a tree insert was something like what they installed around Paris after they rebuilt it sometime in the 1940s and 50s, which were large metal grids where you can plant a tree. This is for already.
This will just be like a 12-inch or 6-inch piece of PVC pipe or something. And then when the time comes, they just like your Christmas tree, you put it on the stand. This will be the same thing. You just put it in there.
Already dead.
Already dead. And just put some water in it once in a while. Yes, there'll be no living trees on that property.
Just a barren, treeless
Charlie Brown.
parking. Gotcha.
We all know where we are.
In the parking lot.
Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. Just a question of winter snipping and plowing. Those types of things. Are we not maintaining the flowers, but I suspect that public works will be winter snipping and all of the.
They're different than now.
So we plow it now, we plow gravel.
I don't have, okay, that's good.
Councillor Ansel, please.
I was just going to talk about, or provide something about the tree. So the reason for it is it's an annual partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the local elementary school, which is now the old school. So the kids will go up a tree, and then they have a tree opening, tree trimming ceremony where the whole community comes together. So really, it's a community tie together. It's just not they want to put it there to decorate, make it look pretty. So it's something that they've been doing for decades, and it really brings the community together. And they do the midnight madness sale where people go shopping for Christmas.
How many people trim their trees as opposed to decorating? How many trim their trees? So everybody decorates them. You better be careful what you're teaching these little kids.
Decorate my tree. I even go in the woods and cut it.
All right.
Moving on.
All in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We are now on page 31, Deputy Warden, and it's all one. No, it's not. It's two motions.
I move that the municipality of the County of Annapolis send a letter to the Premier of Nova Scotia outlining its support for the Arlington Forest Protection Society's advocacy work surrounding the protection of old-growth forests, and request that the specific society and general community consultations take place in Annapolis County this fall prior to the province of Nova Scotia's development and approval of a comprehensive long-term ecological forestry approach for Nova Scotia's forests.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion, please. Deputy Warden.
So, notes here. I think we should be using the term old forest, old growth forest. Mr. Leahy in his fine report outlined this as a very important distinction and something that needs a lot of work. Old growth forests are in fact very hard to define. He goes into quite a bit of detail in conclusion number 72 within the report. And in support of that, one of the things he indicates is that things like red maple and red oak are not necessarily considered to be part of the typical old growth forest, and much of the recent conservation efforts done in this county in the last several years, for example, the last Hope campers on Highway 10, it was mostly a standard maple, but they found several endangered species who actually prevented a harvest there, destroyed some very sensitive habitat, which is the primary motive for this, is that old forests are deemed to be very ecologically and biodiverse. So that's part of the mentality for keeping them, and why personally I support this a great deal.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Deputy Warden, please.
I move that the municipality invite the Nova Scotia Minister of Natural Resources and Renewables to visit Annapolis County this fall to discuss the future long-term sustainability of forestry resources across Nova Scotia on both Crown and private woodlands, extending an invitation to local, large private sector woodlot owners to the meeting as well.
Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion. I would hope that if we pass this motion, we will have some latitude with regard to the word large on the second last line of that motion. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Page 34, Deputy Warden, please.
I move that municipal council give first reading to S1 solid waste resource bylaw.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Longmire. Discussion. All in favor?
Oh, sorry, Councillor Long, question.
So I gotta raise my head. Sorry, Diane. Councillor LeBlanc. Okay.
I was looking on page 35, at the top of the page, and it states the date that we start this agreement, which is July 18th. Now, effective July 1st, 2023. There's no end date. Or is it like a 5-year or up to the time where the new IMSA starts and then we review this again? Did anybody answer that?
Anybody answer that?
I can.
Deputy Warden? Oh, sorry, Don.
So I was just making reference to the need to put this bylaw in place to coincide with the agreement that had been put in place July 1st. I wasn't specifically providing details about the agreement, although I'm sure someone here can provide details about an end date. I'm not aware of it.
So, if I may, Mr. Chairman, so the agreement council just recently approved back in July was to extend or to create or enter into agreement with Valley Waste for a year and a half, 18 months. So it goes till March 31st, 2025, I believe. And then we expect later this fall or early in the winter, Valley Waste will go to tender for the large entire contract, including us. And then hopefully by April 1st of 2025, there'll be a new contract. But this bylaw puts us in line with all the other municipalities in Valley Waste.
If I may?
Councilor Baum?
So therefore we don't need that date into our document. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the bylaw is a separate process and it would stay in place, but we would make sure to correlate any bylaw changes with any changes to the agreement. The need to put this bylaw in place is that, for example, one of the services being contracted with Valley Waste is enforcement of the bylaw. So, for example, illegal dumping. And so we need this bylaw in place for them to be able to fulfill that part of that agreement.
Yeah, I'm not questioning that, I was just questioning the date. I'm in favor. I'm just wondering about the date. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Page 74. Councillor Longmire, please.
I move that Municipal Council call a Planning Advisory Committee, PAC meeting on October 5th at 7 p.m. at the Lower Granville Community Hall for consideration of the habitation community planning documents.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Thank you. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Carried. Well done, Connor. Page 77. Councillor Sheridan, please.
I move that municipal council authorize the withdrawal of $25,000 from the Capital Fire Services Reserve Fund to the Nicktown District Volunteer Fire Department in the 2023-24 fiscal year.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Councillor Gunn. Discussion. Sure, the one time I look at you people, you don't want to talk about it. Councillor Renzo, please.
I'll say something. It's just nice to see that we can continue to support the fire departments, even though this is kind of well, not what we have to do, I guess, but it's just nice that our fire departments are continuing to look at upgrades and ways so they can continue to support the community.
Thank you. Further discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Page 79. Deputy Warden, please.
I move that There's no recommendation, so I'm just,
Requesting recommendation from us that we repeal.
so I move that we repeal bylaw AM-1.4.20 waste management site tipping fees policy.
Thank you. $7. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Longmire. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carried. Page 79. We just did that. Page 83. Councillor LeBlanc, please.
I move that committee will hold, municipal council for approval policy 102, personnel, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconded by Deputy Warden. Discussion. Deputy Warden.
It's very nice to see this after several iterations of draft I've seen over the while I've been around. And it's great to see a reference of other policies, and I really look forward to seeing maybe some of them being revised in the near future, such as the whistleblower policy. A long time.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I can't seem to, well, I guess I have that. I'm looking at page 98 of 144. Maybe I missed it, but is there anything in there that deals with payout of sick days? When and if they're going to be paid out?
I can't carry those here.
There is, I can't.
Don, please.
Sick days are only paid during employment of a staff person. On separation, there is no payout, and that is stated in the policy.
Should that not be stated in this?
It is item 93 on page 99.
Oh, there we go. Sure. Yep, page 99. I knew it was in there.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Sorry, Councillor Hudson. That's okay. Okay, Councillor Enzo, followed by Councillor Gunn, please. And Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you. I just want to say that, from a HR perspective, that it's nice to see that we are moving forward in that direction. I know that there's been a lot of water over the top from different staff through. It's not always good direction, so hopefully this will help some of us. I was actually surprised on some of the stuff that was a little bit lower than I thought it was going to be around accumulated vacation and how many years it takes to gain, say, 2.5 days per month. I thought we moved it a bit higher than that, I think. But I did have a question, maybe I missed this, around the annual carryover of leave, of unused leave. I was reading this last night in the hotel, and I might have missed it, but I just had a question around our policy of, is it stated they have to use it within the physical years? And if they don't use it for whatever reason, can it be carried over to the next year, or do we just pay it out?
Councillor Enzo, I wonder if in Alan Fotheringham's words, you could elucidate a bit more about these discussions with the staff, and that the staff have discussions with you concerning internal administration matters. Could you help us out there?
I didn't want to cause it. It was just when you're walking through the halls, you overhear random things. Just some different stuff. Not that they come to me by any means. And if they did, I would definitely address the concerns. Just you hear talks. I guess I shouldn't use water cooler, but you hear things in the community. You hear things for everyone else. We all know how the rubber mill works around the county. So it just, I wouldn't say that in the past it is not common knowledge that some employees that work with the county aren't always happy. But there's been some major improvements that people seem happier. And I'll give a lot of credit to our CAO. And I just, I'm just a big advocate for employees and making sure that they're getting the correct benefits, making sure they're getting the right support, making sure that we have clear direction, and also that they feel that they can talk to their superiors or to the supervisors without negative effect. So like, the whistleblower type situation. It's not the fact that anyone's coming to me, and if they ever did, I would either redirect them to the right people. It's just that you hear things in the hall or you hear things in the community, but we all hopefully this stuff gets rid of it. But that's my question around leave. I was just curious about that. Maybe I missed it in there. That was the only thing that I really had a question about.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so there's two processes we use. We have the policy document, and then we have what's called a process document or an operating procedure document. Okay. So in the policy document, it references that people are eligible for a certain number of vacation days and sick leave and so on and so forth. But we also have a companion process document or operating procedure that we use, which says if somebody wishes to take vacation, they fill out a form, they get it approved, and so on and so forth, which isn't necessarily the policy. In that process document, there is a provision that employees are eligible to carry over 5 vacation days a year. Okay. And they require that. Now, there may be a special situation. I believe the process document also says that there's a special situation where someone needs to carry over 6 or 7 days, then the CAO has authorization to approve that, but generally it's limited to 5 vacation days a year carryover.
Perfect. And I did like seeing it here about the time in lieu of, even for the management staff. So, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Longmire. Yes, I have. I forgot my notes. Councillor Gunn, Councillor LeBlanc, and Councillor Longmire.
Okay, so it's Councillor Gunn next?
It is.
There you go. So I've read all this before. I went through this the other night on the computer, and I've read all this before. So what I'd like to know is, has there been changes to this policy recently? Because they're usually highlighted when Don makes changes to policies. They're usually highlighted. I haven't seen any highlights in them. Or is this just a recap of the policy for those of us that may have not read it before?
So the changes are on page 84, 85, and 86. That's a summary of all the changes.
Oh, this is change. These are the, okay, I saw that change. They're usually highlighted. That's all right, thank you. Good. That's all I need to know.
Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I read it again and I saw the changes and I totally agree with the changes and we need to take care of our staff and be, fair to everyone. My question, it doesn't go to any specific page except for the disciplinary actions that are taken. It would be good that if there was something damaged by a person and that it's been destroyed by them or somebody that he didn't use whatever, right? I don't know what disciplinary actions would be taken, but obviously I would presume that if it was destroyed on purpose, that the cost of the item or repairs would be put on that certain person, or is it something that will be discretionary according to what the CAO and I presume to be CAO and directors combined come up with a price for? The bottom line is if it's decided that it was destroyed on purpose or stolen or whatever you want to come up with, that it wouldn't fall on the cost of the taxpayers to place it if it would be that one particular person had done this. is that totally up to the discretion of the directors and the CAO? And is it part of looking at this? I know you're doing a great job anyway, but I'm just asking.
May I respond to that, Mr. Warren? So discipline and stages of discipline is primarily dealt with under our managing unsatisfactory performance policy, which will actually be coming up for review within likely the next 6 months. So the logical progression after having the personnel policy in place is there are 3 policies that are very interrelated to it. One is the whistleblower, one is managing unsatisfactory performance, and one is respectful workplace. So those would be the ones that would be on my mental list to next have a discussion with the CAO in regards to making updates and bringing to council.
So we will be reviewing those before we go. Thank you very much.
Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you. A question around smoking and making sure that our vehicles are not smoked in. Is that included in here? Or is it spoken to in some other document?
I believe I included that in standard operating procedure, the operational procedures that were referenced by the CAO. There are 11 standard operating procedures that I had done the first draft and provided to the CAO. And I'm 99% sure I included that. If I didn't, it will be now.
Thank you.
I think it's parental law that's prohibited. For sure. Yeah, you're not allowed to smoke in that vehicle because it's working with other people in the vehicle, so it's prohibited by parental law. We wouldn't even need a policy for that. Now, enforcing it's another issue. Right.
Thank you.
Sorry, no, you're gonna have to stand up and holler. Councillor Cotw.
Be careful what you ask for. No, thank you. I read and reread this and the changes to the policy, and I think it's a great step forward. I was impressed with all of it, especially recognizing the importance of volunteer service. We've sat around this table and talked about how we need to do what we can to increase volunteerism. This speaks, that we're willing to do it from within and to show that it's appreciated. So the number there, the compassionate and critical care leave, maternity, parental leave. I think sort of moving in the right direction, and I'm pleased to see it here. Thank you.
I have a question. These policies, procedures, regulations apply to staff, but not for members of council.
All employees, isn't it?
That's correct. So if members of council have circumstances applying to some of the examples by Councillor Cotw, then I guess we would have a discussion in council. Thank you. Councillor Cotw.
I know working at the province, we ask for driver's abstract once a year because there's been situations within the province of people losing their license and drive because nobody knows. So now they ask for a driver's abstract once a year. They ask for a driver's abstract. And if they do it at the provincial level, it's surely not going to affect some people's minds about doing it for the municipal level. So,
Actually, our insurance requires us to do that now.
So in here it says driver's abstract must be obtained, provided to the county upon request.
And it is done annually because that's what our insurance providers require. Now, it may not be done for somebody who's taken on as a term or temporary employee who's never going to drive a vehicle.
Right.
But for any persons that would be authorized to drive a county vehicle, and any persons who would be authorized to use their personal vehicle for county business, we would be requiring it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes, just 2 questions. And I may be getting into the weeds here, but anyway, I'll ask anyway. The hours of work are 8:30 to 4:30. Firstly, how were those hours reported? And who says that authorizes them or approves them?
Good question.
So, if I
What is the process, I guess?
So for instance, I guess union employees typically are 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week, non-union 35 hours a week. And it's up to each supervisor to supervise their staff to ensure they're working the minimum required number of hours. 8:30 to 4:30 is the standard office hours, but we do have a number of employees who work, some work 8 to 4, some work 7:30 to 4, different times.
Oh, yeah.
So there is some staggering there, which is commonplace now, in order to accommodate families, in order to accommodate parental issues, in order to accommodate travel and so on and so forth. So we're very flexible. It's up to the supervisor for each employee to make sure the employee is working when they're supposed to be working, and when they're not, they have an approved signed leave form. Document.
The second part of that, 8:30 to 4:30, that includes a lunch hour?
So essentially it's 8:30 to 4:30, we get an hour off for lunch. So essentially it's 7 hours a day of work time and then an hour off on paid.
So it's a 35-hour week.
Correct. For non-union employees.
What about union employees?
Union employees is 40 hours, and they get a half hour for lunch, I think.
A half hour lunch. Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'm so happy.
Page 106. Councillor
You
Craig,
got it,
please.
yeah, I got this
Thank you. I move that municipal council authorize an additional $97,218 in funding from county water and sewer reserves for the expanded scope of the East End servicing study.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion, please. Councillor Sheridan.
I realize it's coming from the water and sewer reserve, and I know we don't have accurate figures on there. I do realize it's getting a little bit low. So my question is, gas tax, I'm assuming, is not allowed to be used for a study? Am I correct in saying that?
It can be for water and sewer.
Would it be more beneficial to take it from that as opposed to lowering our reserve on water and sewer?
At this point, because as you're aware, we're not quite sure exactly what the other financial statements where it is. So staff are recommending we just continue along with the original path, was taken out of the water and sewer reserves. But later in the year, we may do a rebalancing or something like that if we need to.
So we can transfer.
We can, and it's not going to make, it won't be a significant difference, because even if we do so if it's in the gas tax fund, normally we use it for water sewer projects. And so if we use it for funding the study, it's the same thing. So we're going to take it out of there, but when the time comes to actually do the work, we're going to still take it out of gas tax. So the money for the projects are going to eventually come out of gas tax, whether we pay for the study or whether we pay for the actual infrastructure work. I don't think it's going to
I
be
was
a big
just
issue.
concerned on the balances, because I know when they do that report for the province, certain things have to have, I like to see a certain amount of money in the reserves, and that one is getting fairly.
Both of them are significantly low and need to be adjusted, but we can't make that decision until we get accurate financial statements
Understand.
in the next couple of weeks. So.
Thank you.
Councillor Bartow, please.
Relates that annual contributions to the reserves. I'm not sure how that relates to the amount that we're anticipating taking out of the reserves. Is that less than the annual input, or are we reducing reserves more than we put into the year?
Staff don't have that information right in front of us at the present time. We can determine what those numbers are. You'll see them here in the near future when we do the other financial statements with the transfers out.
I just want to be careful where we get money from, that we're looking at the big picture.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're on a no-hitter here today. I should say.
Don't you just wait.
Just
Page 125, Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you. I move that municipal council approve a 5-year renewable lease agreement between the municipality of the County of Annapolis and the Annapolis County Outdoor Sports Society, ACOSS, to oversee the management of the Bridgetown Regional Outdoor Sports Hub.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Ensworth. Thank you. Discussion, please. Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I'm fully in agreement that, we need to get something in place for the sports hub. However, I do have some questions. And firstly, I would like to refer everyone to page 126. And it says policy implications. The group will follow the general policy set by the County of Annapolis in regard to fees and charges for rentals and make appropriate changes as necessary. Does the county have such a policy? I don't.
If I may, my understanding is yes, we do. We have a policy that says there's rates and charges and what they are. So my understanding is they've never been enforced because of COVID, and since COVID, they've never been enforced. So there is a document that does set that.
Yes. If I recall correctly, and I think it was Ms. Ryan presented fees and stuff to us, but that was 2 years, perhaps 3 years ago. Should that not be updated, or?
It will be, and that's the issue here with this, is that we're saying they're going to follow the general policy. So that was our policy a couple of years ago. That was never implemented because of COVID and everything. But we would expect they would use that as the basis and follow that. So they'll either charge that amount or charge a little more based on inflation and everything else.
I couldn't find it. Is that in the lease?
No.
One.
No reason, just wasn't decided to put in there.
So they don't have to follow our policies if they wish to not follow.
Well, they've agreed in good faith to follow them, yes. They need to generate revenue to operate the facility.
Yeah.
And if they give everything away for free, the lease won't last very long.
No, I realize
They
that.
don't have any revenue to operate the facility.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Just going to put my name on the list.
I have several things if I could continue on.
Please.
I would like to go to page 129, and it's number 3 under D. I totally don't agree with that. I don't believe that that's...
Sorry, number 3.
Oh, the third paragraph down on page 129.
That's 3C, right?
Pardon?
No, 3C.
3C, yeah.
Yeah, number 3.
It's one.
It's 1D3.
So there's 1 A, B, C, D, and then there's a 1, 2,
2, 3.
Okay.
So what I'm referring to was on page 129.
Yes.
It's the third paragraph down, which says any furnishings, fixtures and equipment purchased by a cost. Okay. I don't agree with that at all. This organization or society is being provided with public money, and having said that, I don't think they should be, things that they should be buying should go to them should they dissolve or cease operations. Just looking at it, that's what volunteers do. They buy stuff for the organization, that they're associated with. I can give you an example. In August, the Bridgetown Community Recreation Association bought a chairlift for the Bridgetown pool at a cost of $12,000. There was not a moment's thought given to that ever being the property of the BCRA. It was purchased for the pool, and it will stay with the pool, whoever runs that pool in the future, whether it be the BCRA or some other organization. And that's all I'm saying is basically, that's what volunteer groups do. They raise money, they purchase things for their use and what their needs are. And those items shouldn't go to the, I don't know, whoever, if that organization ceases to be. And secondly, I guess,
No, carry on.
yes, I guess I can.
Thank
I
you.
agree.
All right. That's the extent of your intervention. You're finished.
Well, I would move that be removed.
Okay, go ahead,
I'd make that motion.
please.
I'll second it.
No, we have not heard the wording of the motion.
You want a motion?
No, you said you wanted a motion.
Yes, I want to make a motion that under premises and equipment and furniture, under D, number 3, that's number 3 section, be removed from the lease.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion, please. Councillor Sheridan.
So, just to be clear, so they're raising money from the hub to purchase these items, and the hub belongs to the county. So, this is where they're getting the money from to purchase these items, I take it. Or are they fundraising in another area other than the hub to get these items?
Anybody have an answer?
So we've had the discussion at this table, and we've had the discussion with the group about there need to be an Annapolis County group, not just a Bridgetown Hub group. And so they're aware of that, and that is their intention to do more than just one facility. So this provision is put in there, recognizing in good faith that they're going to go out and fundraise, not just necessarily the hub, but fundraise throughout the county, try to get more use throughout the county. They may be involved with maintaining other facilities as well, or other properties. And so if they go out and have a fundraiser in Middleton, and they want to use the money to, or they want to buy a tractor to mow the grass there or something, this says they won't be allowed. If you should take it out, it's going to say, no, sorry, you can't use it there. You can't. We own it and maintain it once that group uses it. So that's the predicament that puts us in if you take it out. Is you're saying that if they buy it, it has to remain their property, and they can't. It just doesn't prevent them from using it in Middleton, but then it ties their hands. And so then they say, why are we going to go out and raise $20,000 to buy a piece of equipment when the county's going to take it?
And we want to encourage them to fundraise because they're going to help and benefit the whole county. So I won't be for removal.
Councillor Answell, please.
Thank you. So, the CAO did a lot of the work, so I won't. One, I just want to lead by saying that is a standard clause within any lease agreement. Any lease agreement I've ever drafted in the federal government has a clause identical to that because of those reasons. So if they get to a point and say they bought a truck, well, what group would say, yeah, sure, okay, if we, close up that, we'll just go to the county. Well, it's an asset of theirs. I do see the point of, if it's things for the rec, where they bought the jumping rails or whatever they are, that in good faith they would leave them. Because where else are they going to use them? But to take this out, it far outweighs. I don't agree with taking it out. It doesn't benefit the county, nor does it benefit the leasee. Thank you. I will not be supporting that motion.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Prout, and then you can close.
Yep, okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Councillor Prout.
Thank you. Well, I'm sympathetic with Councillor Hudson's and Councillor Gunn's rationale. I understand, or I think I understand, after listening to much of the debate, why that is in there, and that it could be detrimental to the success of a number of things. The group, for one, the expansion of recreation chances and places and growth in the rest of the county. And while it's very much, you can see both sides of the argument, I won't be voting in support of this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. I have two things here. On this, I think that motion could be amended to cover, make everybody happy. I'm just going to leave that there. But my question is quite simple. A COS gets to run the place. They get to run it. We're going to give them a lease and they get to run it. So my question is, will a COS be charging the Department of Education for their use of the facility?
That's not an appropriate question because
That's their business, not ours.
because we are considering the amendment, which is specific.
Oh, well, I'll say for that after. That's good.
Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes, I just want to ask this question, and I stand to be corrected on it. I support getting an agreement in place, don't misunderstand me. But if I read this correctly, and maybe I am incorrect, does this group intention is to only I'll say sponsor, or I'll use the word sponsor, sports activities at the sports club and not outside of the sports club?
I'm not sure how that question is germane to this motion, which is specifically directed at 1D3.
Anyway, I guess I'll just finish by saying this. Leaving that in, will present, has the potential of presenting some problems. Say for some reason or another, a cost decides, okay, we're done, we're going to go, right? Who is the one people that are going to decide who purchased what and with what monies? Who was going to make that determination?
Again, that is a separate subject. The subject of the motion has to deal with furnishings, fixtures, and equipment purchase.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it says shall remain the property of.
Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Ward, is that who is going to decide what furniture, fixtures, and equipment were purchased by whom and by whose money?
If I may, just to clarify. So we would have a record of what we purchased. We would have invoices. Mr. Young would have all the details of all that stuff. So we know exactly what's there now, what inventory they're being given. And so if they went to bought a new tractor, bought a truck, or bought something, we would know we would buy that. So these are substantial things. This isn't if they go buy a garden hose and whether we bought the garden hose or they bought the garden hose, we're not worried about that. These are more substantial issues. But we would know who bought what.
Okay. Just one final thing. We'll say there was a tractor that they had purchased and they decided to cease operations. And that tractor remains with them. So they would be free to sell that property or sell that tractor. Who would receive the proceeds?
The joint stock says it has to be given to a similar like nonprofit organization.
That's where we make a regular.
Doesn't say that.
No, that's provincial legislation which overrides this.
Provincial legislation.
Which overrides this.
Okay.
Thank you. We have Councillor Bartow, Councillor LeBlanc, and Deputy Warden. Councillor Bartow, please.
Thank you. In the wording of the paragraph, I have some sympathies in both directions, but it says, if it's purchased for use in the premises, if this group, not least anymore, and we decide another group should run it, if it was deemed necessary to provide whatever item is in question, that is a necessity or a requirement to run this facility, that such items should remain there for the continued operation of that facility. I have some concerns about
Excuse me. The motion is dealing with this paragraph and furnishings purchased. And the motion is to delete the paragraph.
But reasons for deleting the paragraph, not deleting the paragraph, are germane to our discussions.
Okay?
Thank you. So that's my concern, is that this allows basically, you can't point fingers at a non-existing situation, but for somebody to want to raise the place and basically haul a lot of stuff out of there, and then for the continued use, which we have this facility and it's for ongoing, that all of a sudden then somebody is forced to repurchase a whole bunch of stuff if that stuff leaves to do it. So if we left this paragraph 3 of 1D in there, it's going to potentially allow that useful, bought specifically for this facility, equipment or fixtures to be removed. And I have some concerns with that. So I think I may be supporting the motion, or if it can be amended somewhat differently, or maybe we can replace that with an alternate paragraph. But right now, the way it is currently written, it just bothers me that it allows the things to leave the facility that are necessary for running that and operating that field. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I just clarify something? It's that the wording doesn't say it's for a specific use of the sports hub. This is for use in the premises. So for instance, they could buy somebody talked about hurdles, they could buy some hurdles, and they might use them at the hub, but they also might use them in Middleton at the field there. So they could use it in multiple places. It's not necessarily buying it specific only for the hub. It's just they're buying it for use at the hub, but it could be for use in multiple places.
Doesn't quite say that. It says in the premises.
For use.
I was assuming that meant this facility.
No, it says for use in the premises. They would use it there. It doesn't necessarily be the only place they would use it.
Use, not for. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Subject interpretation.
Councillor LeBlanc, please.
Well, I find this very interesting because looking at the concept of our discussion, we've gone all over the place on this particular motion. I find it that if we shouldn't be tying the hand of this group by wanting to do good things and to provide it for the whole of the county at the same time. And by the explanation that the EPA provided that they would have to give these items if they dissolve to a charitable same kind of organization, I think it covers the aspect. We want them to have the ability to go out there and raise money. Because we're not going to always have the money to provide, but they will raise the money with everybody in the county, with everybody who will be involved. So, for that particular reason, I will vote to eliminate this from the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, please.
Yes, if I were to read this clause in isolation, I would agree with the motion. However, it's part of a much broader contract, and I think on the balance, that as part of the broader contract, that we're good value for our money. I think the money we're spending out to operate this facility, plus the sort of recovered hours and mental thought and all that sort of stuff, and just the low level maintenance that goes along with it, plus also leveraging our dollars with whatever can be fundraised to operate this facility and potentially improve recreation on a broader scale within the county as the group is supposed to operate is good. And I think, as the CAO just pointed out, some of these things may not be used. Hopefully, many of the things they purchase will be used in more places than just the sports hub. They can use much of what they have in other facilities.
Thank you. Councillor Sheridan, please, followed by Councillor Longmire.
I just want to say I'm very grateful that they've come forth, and just a note that the name of the group is Annapolis County Outdoor Sports Society. It doesn't have the hub in there, so it means all across the county. So by taking that out, it might tie their hands a bit. So once again, I'm not going to support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you. I think about certain pieces of equipment. Are they going to be using our mowers? Because if they use our mowers and then ours get wrapped up with ours, then they're going to purchase a piece of equipment. I suspect they're not going to come to the county to ask for funds for a new mower or ask us to purchase it for them. They will probably purchase a piece of equipment, and therefore then they have an asset while ours has to be retired, right? So there's little things like that. The dusting of the beading on the turf and a ripped piece of rubber mat. Are they going to come to us? They're the ones running it. They're the ones, organizing all these events. And although I am a complete believer in this, I want this to happen. It was very dead there this summer. We need activity. It's a beautiful space, and it is. It's a county gem. However, there are particular pieces of asset that I would like to have a little more clarification on. Right? It would be very easy for them to use our already existing, and then it be broken or such, right? So, I mean, there is a little gray there.
So as part of the agreement, we've agreed to give them one of our zero-turn mowers, Kubotas. It's got 600 hours on it. A push mower, whippersnipper, blower, plus obviously the turf equipment, and one of our older gators that is up at West Paradise. So they can use that to pull the turf equipment to activate the turf and the rubber. So that's the nuts and bolts of what we're contributing of equipment. Now, on the point you were making about maintenance of the track and stuff, there are still some issues with the track that we're working on with the group that installed the track and stuff like that. And there's warranty on the turf field and things like that. It's under our name, and we'll continue to manage that piece as long as the warranties stay.
So I guess it comes down to the price tag on that inventory that we're so graciously as a county offering up. And then if those large pieces of assets that belong to the entire county are, damaged or not fit for continued use, the Kubota, those are expensive pieces of equipment. I'm quite sure they're pleased to have that already made available to them, or will be.
Yes.
They will not be raising money to purchase, and if they did, they're going to take their asset with them. That's my concern. That's that gray area.
They know the equipment they're getting. I think they're already looking at fundraising to get more.
But they will still exhaust hours.
No, sorry. No, they will not exhaust ours. They will exhaust theirs because we have given hours to them.
Correct.
Were we decided on that?
I don't think I ever raised my hand on that decision. I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
That's frustrating.
Councillor Long, please.
We never made that.
Well, we're leasing it.
At least they're not giving it to them.
I don't know where I lost it. No, I need to say this.
Please.
Because I'm a little bit frustrated. I don't know where we came up with an inventory list that we're going to just so graciously hand off. It's expensive equipment. It's one thing to want to help them get started, and we're giving them, what, 50 grand, let's call it whatever it is, to help them get up and running. It is going to be a costly venture, and it is definitely needed, and I want it for the county. But, here goes again, the expectation that these pieces of equipment come this easy. This as well has been fundraised or purchased through the county coffer, through all of us, through our districts. And if the equipment is broken or in such shape that not usable, we then have to repurchase more equipment, is the only thing I'm saying. They're not going to leave their new Kubota to us, right? We're going to offer ours to help them get going. I'm clear as mud. I'm just frustrated that it just looks like it's an expensive undertaking initially to get set up, and there will be no expectation that they provide anything back in return for the use of our county equipment.
So excuse me. This is an amendment motion.
This is equipment and furniture and such.
Yes, purchased by that organization.
And they will use our equipment.
That's not,
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Councillor LeBlanc, please.
Thank you. I understand the frustration. I really do. Because we don't want to be giving away money to an organization that we're actually paying to do the work. However, in clarification of the fact that I'm using the word amended. We have this equipment that was supposed to be used by our people, correct?
Yes.
So for them to take over, they need the use of this equipment. Are we giving them this equipment? Or are we just loaning them the equipment that we already have purchased that goes with them? I don't think that they will have to or are capable of raising X amount of dollars to purchase any furnishings and so on as they are starting out, so that we have to worry about it. And yes, right, well, yeah, mine breaks at home as well, and it's not because I'm being rough or whatever, it just happens. And it's our equipment, so we would have to pay for it. I know the frustration of that particular line. But I guess we just need to think about the whole and not just the pieces. They are not capable of doing any of this without this equipment, and we need to lend them. And if they work to buy more equipment, I don't think it's going to be next week or next year, but it is what it is. Thank you.
Councillor Enzo, followed by Councillor Barto, please.
Thank you. Well, it's been a heated discussion. So, the equipment that we'll say, giving on loan or what have you, wouldn't this equipment already be used for that facility? Really spring, I thought that was the whole point of why people liked and supported this, where it was freeing up some of our staff that would be doing this with the same equipment. We're just allowing them to use that equipment that would already be used. No different than, there's various examples of these types of leases out there. When we get into the weeds of these discussions in great detail, it's just, I go back to, we gave money to the pool. That's not open yet. This is a standard lease that I've ever dealt with, because it allows the organization to take ownership of what they're doing so they can do a good job at it. If they know that we're over their shoulder all the time, and whatever they do, it just creates more pressure. And this group has an amazing plan, and they have heavy hitters. They have. If I was asked privately to support this, I would. You know, it's a core. I just find that we're so far in the weeds in this, in a standard clause, and talking about so many what ifs, that we're not really seeing through what we're actually trying to do. At the end of the day, in my mind, if we're loaning them the equipment that are to be used at that facility by our staff, but they're using it, and it frees up our staff, it's irrelevant, because, and if it does come time to replace those, of course they would replace it. And if they choose to keep it, which I don't know why they would, it would have to go to another group. And we could be that group, because we would be doing the exact same thing. So it's just, again, I will not be supporting the motion to take that out.
Thank you. Councillor Bartow. No, a bit, thank you. Councillor Bartow, and I hope we could vote on this amendment soon, please. Councillor Bartow.
Thank you. Hearing the commentary, and I don't want to stand on this too much, but I just want for clarification. I'm assuming that on page 139 it says County of Annapolis equipment to be supplied. I assume that that's supply is not conferred given, it's supply for use.
Right.
So we would still own that equipment. Same as the owning field. Right. We're just leasing it, the equipment as part of the whole package. Right. And so the ownership will still lie on us, but I think on the lease, it states that they will do the maintenance, like including snow clearing and everything. So they're responsible for keeping this equipment up to speed. If the county in that lease, we're not responsible to replace or maintain that equipment. That becomes part of the lease. Their responsibility. Right. Okay. That's all I want to do is just clarify that. Thank you.
Well said. Okay, and all right, all those in favor of the motion, which is to delete that entire paragraph. All those in favor of deleting the paragraph, please raise your hands. 1, 2.
Another one over here.
3. All those not in favor of the motion. Thank you. The motion is defeated. We will now resume consideration of the main motion. And I think you said you had more.
I had more questions, yes.
Yes.
Here too. My next question is just a simple yes or no. And it had to do with snow removal. Does that snow removal include the parking lot?
The snow removal will provide would be similar to what we did last year.
I'm sorry?
It's similar to what we did last year, so we plowed half the parking lot.
Okay. My next questions has to do with page 131, has to do with insurance. My first thought is that the $2 million in general commercial liability insurance is not high enough. It should be 5. My second comment on insurance, there's no mention in here about D&O insurance, directors and officers liability insurance. and there's no mention in this paragraph or this section that the insurances that they take out, that it will be requirement that the county be named as a second insured.
Thank you. Councilor Farrell, please.
I'm all for the group taking over the running of the hub. I realize the hub's not in their name, so over the next few years, I'll definitely be very aware when something's going on at the facilities in Middleton. I will make a point of asking them, did they ask this committee for anything they have that they needed? Hopefully, we get the right answer, because if we don't, you'll definitely hear from them.
You'll be first in the speakers.
Right. The equipment, I have no problem with the equipment. The only thing is that we should have a dollar value for the equipment, because it's not only $50,000 a year we're giving them, we're giving them the use of equipment that's got a dollar value, which the taxpayers in this county's paid for. Unless when Marcusville phones up and says, I need a mower to mow my park, we're gonna run a mower over to them. We best have a value and know that that was a donation or our contribution to help that hub run. Because again, a lot of money is being spent in a certain area where the outskirts of our county does not see any. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I'm just wondering, we've had a lot of discussion and people are going back and forth, and sometimes I keep track of those who want to and sometimes I don't. But please save your under the breath comments for when you have the floor, because they are picked up by the microphone. Councillor Hudson, are you? Councillor Hudson is still.
No, I'm not quite through. I would like to make a motion that the insurance section of that be amended by increasing the 2 million to 5 million. I don't think 2 million in today's age is sufficient. I will also, including in that my motion, to put it in a section in there that they are required to have directors and officers liability insurance, which is for their benefit. And I will also think something should be added in there that says the county should be a joint insured on their insurance policies.
Okay.
So those three things.
Could you give us the wording, or does the clerk have a wording?
I may have.
Okay.
Let me see if I
The
can.
difference in the premium between $2 and $5 million on liability is, I don't think it's significant. It's going to be substantial.
These three things will add substantial cost. These three things will add substantial cost.
Does anyone have any idea?
Should this be 3 motions? That's what I'm asking about.
Well, we're just waiting to hear.
Just trying to capture the section here. So that's section 7C. Yes, you're talking about?
7C3.
And 2 and 3.
I'm sorry.
This is what I captured. That the insurance section 7C be amended by increasing 2 million to 5 million, because I haven't read the words on the page, and to include a section requiring directors and officers liability insurance, and to add that the county be a named insured on the policies.
That's correct.
Moved by Councillor Hudson.
Is there a seconder to that amendment?
I have a question.
Is there a seconder to the amendment? Councillor Longmire. Councillor O'Rourke,
Can I ask my question?
please.
Could those two things be separated? There's one that's being changed, so that would be clear with the changes of 2 million to 5, but we're adding another section, so if we could discuss it as a separate amendment, then it would, we might move faster.
Okay,
Two separate things.
let's take a short break. Welcome back. Councillor Hudson has indicated for administrative reasons he would like to withdraw his motion of amendment. Do we have unanimous consent to do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
Okay, I would like to basically break my amendment down into 3 parts. I firstly would like to make a motion that the $2 million general commercial liability insurance amount be increased from $2,000 to $5,000, or $5 million.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Longmire. Discussion, please. Councillor Sheridan.
I won't be supporting this because I think it's a standard, 2 million is standard on any organization. We want these people to be eager to come to work. I want to put any roadblocks up for them. I think it's important that volunteers are eager to do all this for the county, and that's just going to add a large expense, so I will not be supporting it.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Cotw.
Can I ask how much liability insurance we have on our sports facilities that we have, or parks, as a county?
I can't specifically answer that, but typically municipal governments have a blanket policy, which is usually $20 million. Ours is separate. Ours is very different than a normal organization because we have much more advanced operations and facilities. So municipal governments are always significantly higher.
And my concern is that if something happens on this field and someone sues, they're going to sue for $2 million, and then they're going to sue for whatever they can get for the next highest person that owns the property.
That's correct. Yeah.
You got to be liable. So they'll be coming to the higher output to try to get more money if they feel they need it.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you, and to just add to that, that's the reason why important details like directors and officer insurance is important. I'll leave it there.
Yes, because that's not what we're talking
It's not what we're talking about, but I needed to add it there. It made sense there.
Thank you.
On the screen.
Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you. I'm thinking that it's not a we, I guess it's the administration and the CAO has gone through this and is given the number of 2 million because it goes across the border as we should be covered with. If we change one, should we have to change all the others that we have? Is my question. Does that affect everything else, or does it not?
Thank you.
If we change.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. So the amount of liability or what the terms and conditions of each lease are subject to approval of council. So if council feels this one should be the same or different than other ones, that's strictly a decision of council, council hall. But to your point, though, if council decides to move this one to a different level, then other organizations may question why, or other council members may question why this one is special and requires a different level of insurance than other groups. But it's council's decision.
Thank you.
But we are covered with this number of 2 million is the proper coverage. Is what I'm getting at. As we go through all the insurance.
I guess I wouldn't call it proper insurance, but it's a standard level of insurance, $2 million, yes, that we would normally require from nonprofit organizations.
Thank you. Councillor Sheridan, please.
Just a question, because if we still own the hub, we have to have it insured through the county. So the sports that are taking place are going to be the same type of sports as if we owned them and ran it. So what I guess where I'm going is it any difference? Why this is important? Why is it important? Because legally we still own the property, and if we were to run it, we'd have to have that insurance on it. However, we got a group of volunteers that are putting their necks out there and working hard for this sports hub and doing the best they can and affording what they can afford. I don't want to push them away in any way because we were going to run it regardless. We just had the opportunity of volunteers coming in and running it for us. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Hudson, please.
Yeah. Just, I guess, my final word on it. To me, $2 million just doesn't cut it in today's world. If you look at suits and stuff that take place all over the counties, they're all over the country. $2 million doesn't cut it today. I mean, if someone gets injured, $2 million is really nothing, right? So I say that. Secondly, from an affordability standpoint, I know of other organizations or groups that operate in the county that have $5 million public liability insurance. They seem to be able to afford it. So I don't know why they would be given a concession to have a lower rate. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
That's great.
Councillor Enzo, please.
Thank you. So I agree with Councillor Sheridan. In any type of contract, we only really list the minimum that they must have. So if they choose to take the risk, then they take the risk. If they want to increase to $5 million, then that is their thing. There's really no one around our table that is an insurance expert. I was at one time, but my license is now lapsed. But it is not we should not be going on personal feelings that I feel that $5 million would be better than $2 million. That is up to the insurance professionals. And $2 million is the standard clause that the federal government does, for example, for their claims. If they choose that they want to go to $5 million, that is well within theirs, but I do not want to handcuff them because it is a large amount of cost, a large amount of difference between $2 million and $5 million, because it is also based on what you're insuring and what you do. So their has to be higher than another on the property because the risk of liability is higher because of what they're operating. So you can't compare apples and oranges. So by saying $2 million, I think is what we need to have as a minimum. If their threshold of the risk is different, then they will rate it. It's not for us to deem that. That is my opinion. So I will not be moving for the change from $2 million to $5 million.
Thank you. Shall we move now to a vote? All those in favor of raising the amount from $2 million to $5 million, please hold up your hands. 1, 2. All those against? 9. The motion is defeated. Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes, I would move that section 6 be added to, 6 be added to C, requiring the organization to have directors and officers insurance.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Longmire. Discussion, please. Councillor Sheridan.
Just wonder if that should be up to the organization itself. Is that something that we should be dictating to them? Thank you.
Councillor Connell.
Being involved with different committees over time, I know when the awards were dispersed to the county's residents, there was committees formed, and there was a lot of questions insurance for the volunteer committee. And everything pointed back to, under the Good Samaritan Act, they'd be covered as far as being a volunteer group. Would it be any different for these guys where they're not actually owners of the land, they're a volunteer committee? If something happened and everyone on the committee gave their resignation, who are they going to sue?
I can't answer that. That's a technical insurance question over and legal question.
And I think, and that's what we ran into with taking divorce from the federal government is that the federal government rep really made sure we understood that is that in case a ward was taken out by a storm, who was going to clean it up? And he made it very clear, it's a volunteer committee, and if there's no committee, then it's going to be put back onto the county or whoever's going to clean it up. But the committee members themselves had no liability under the Good Samaritan Act. And I was just wondering if it was similar, that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. So we're looking at a lease arrangement, and I, of course, voted in favor of the $5 million to increase that insurance, and it was defeated. I would be in favor of the $2 million if we have directors and officers insurance and liability. And we have to think about the risk that it is to each and every one of us around the row. If there is not substantive amount of liability insurance, they will come to the very next person involved, which will be the committee or the organization that is leasing this property from us to use it for, in good faith, hopefully, managing it with people who know what they're doing. We're not going to be gatekeeping, so we're going to be trusting. And the directors and officers insurance covers so that if something goes wrong with that agreement and that something happens on the field or someone trips and hits their head and has a brain injury, they can then go to the directors and the officers to be sure that they have done their due diligence and looked after the details that they need to before they come to us. Without directors and officers insurance, they are personally responsible. They can be personally sued. I wouldn't think that anyone in an organization who's doing this in a volunteer manner would want to put that level of risk on them. So I suspect this is bigger than us. I think it should be a question of someone who could give us the right advice, because they are leasing from the county. And we don't want a bad taste in our mouth. We don't want something to come back to hit us hard, knowing that we did what we thought was a great thing by leasing something to have the greater good for the county with sport and activities. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. This is very, it's quite legal. They're written up. Has it been reviewed by legal counsel? This lease?
No.
No. Okay. And then I'll stop there because I do have another question, but I'll save it for.
Thank you. Councillor Answell. Sorry, I missed you.
Thank you. So just a few things before me. So in regards to Samaritan Act, this would not be part of it. And in regards to the comment of if the board resigned, who would they go after? Well, it would go after whoever was on the board at the time of the incident. You can't have an incident and then resign and say, oh, sorry, nothing to do with you. But back to the main question of directors and officers insurance. It's not our place to say that. That is the organization that is taking this based on their risk level. Now, I know that they have this insurance, because they mentioned it to me. But it's not our place within this lease to say that. It's within their risk. We should not be dictating it. I have never seen it within a lease contract we asked to do that. Because it's different from liability insurance to directors and officers insurance. It's all about what they're willing to risk. And if they don't, then they'll go after them. And of course they would go after the county. Who wouldn't? In some ways. But for us to put another thing in there that I feel that we really should, because I've never done it in any of my leases, it's just another thing. This is their list to do. So I will not be supporting this motion. I agree with Councillor Sherry on that.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Hudson.
Just to make one point, directors and liability, directors and office insurance is written into other agreements that the county has with other societies. And I think this is very important. It's important for those people that they have protection. I would not sit on a board that didn't have it, because I'm not prepared to personally be liable for something that might go wrong. So, that's it.
Thank you. All right. Councillor Long.
Thank you. I have two different ways of looking at this. I agree with Councillor Sheridan and Onslow, and then I think back at the fact that, you know, when I was coaching and I was doing things or driving kids for school or had, you know, might have to drive kids from point A to point B, that it'd be from the school to the hospital, there's a liability. I had to have $2 million back then in insurance, personally, on my vehicle, to be able to do anything with that. I think this is bigger than us, or bigger than, I don't know which way there, I would have to think. Maybe we should send it back and think about it, and maybe we should send it to the lawyers or the insurance people, or send it to our staff to actually look at this and see if it's something we should do, and should it be done across the board for any of our volunteers or directors or liability. I think that's where we should go with this. Because we can go around the table, but I am not the expert. I just know what I have to go through when I have to travel with children in my vehicle, no matter what the case was. Not saying that the school board didn't have any insurance, just saying, me personally, I have to do that to be able to do the others. So, I guess, could I hear the motion again at this point, please?
The motion is that section 6 be added to ACOS's Covenant 7C, requiring them to have directors and officers liability insurance.
Thank you. Can we proceed now?
So that is to amend the motion, that section be added.
This is a question before I make a motion. How long would it need to take to have lawyers look at this, or our staff, to be coming back to us to consider if I amended the motion to just put it on hold and send it to staff? How long does anybody have any clue how long it would get? Like a month or what?
Probably a month, which means probably more than a month.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So right now, these documents have not been seen by a lawyer. However, they're really what they usually are. But now we're trying to add something that we really do not have the background to say it should be this, it should be that, compared to this, compared to that. Or is there anybody on staff that can tell us directly that this should be done? Here's the
Sorry, that what should be done? Require or go to the lawyers?
Yeah. Should we go proceed on with this, or should we stop and say, should somebody on staff tell us, the CAO possibly is where I'm going to go, that maybe before we consider this, we should send it to a lawyer to discuss it, or send it to our staff to discuss it, more information. I just need to know that.
So, Mr. Chairman, so staff have brought forth this document and this draft lease, believing that it's in the best interest of the county. It's also in the best interest of ACOS in a reasonable, prudent manner, recognizing we could increase the insurance limits for all kinds of different things, but we have to be fair and reasonable and understand what the nature of the operation is. So staff are comfortable with what's brought forward. If council wishes to send it to our legal counsel, they're going to look at it and tell us what the wording is. They're not going to give us an opinion of whether we should require it or not. That's a council decision. And the other part of it is we can send it to an insurance company and get them to tell us what the specific nature of what it means or what it doesn't mean. But that's the same thing. It's not going to help you make a decision other than it's going to inform you as to what it means. But everything is going to depend on the nature of each organization is different. So, so if council wishes to send it back to a lawyer or to an insurance company, we can certainly do that.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, please.
Thank you.
So I'm very torn at first here. I don't know if I've ever heard the term director's insurance before I sat on council. Right now, the extent of my knowledge of director's insurance is that it's called director's insurance. What I do have thoughts on are, I don't think we should be doing something because what we've done or not done before. That's a great way to ensure you're not going to have any change or any progress. And also, I don't think we should treat an organization that is a profession and a volunteer, or a business and a volunteer differently. We shouldn't lower our bar for volunteers. Yes, they're volunteers, but you still need to hold them to the standard. Those are very broad statements. I also want to see this organization succeed. I would like to see, hopefully, that they expand and really do encompass all of Annapolis County. And so, in that, we are an organization that has lots of background. We have a huge number of staff. We can draw on to gain information with all our experiences here on the table. Not every organization has that. And my time on the exhibition board, generally what I'm asked is, so how do you do that at the county? How is that procedurally done? And I'm used more as a source of information than as somebody who's trying to direct the ship. And so I think we should be doing, through whatever mechanisms we have, things to make our volunteer organizations stronger. And if this organization already has director's insurance, then putting it in the lease is no burden to them. If they don't have it, then we should be strongly encouraging them to have director's insurance so that they are protected, so that the volunteers are protected. Because I'm willing to bet that most volunteers in this county who are sit on boards know more about director's insurance than I do, and that is they've heard the words. And so I am in favor of this, starting off being quite not in favor of it as we started our conversation. For that reason, I don't want to provide an onerous burden on a volunteer organization, but I also don't think we should be setting up a volunteer organization to fail just because we're worried about making an operate clause in the contract or something we haven't done before.
Thank you. Any others? Councilor Sherry.
Councilor Angelo isn't there.
Oh yes, I keep writing his name and forgetting it.
But I was going to ask him, because I thought I heard him say that. Yeah, we lost him. But I thought I heard him say that they did have director's insurance, but I might have misheard. But I was going to clarify that with him.
If I,
Did you hear that, Councillor Anselm?
I did. My camera back. Yes, so they do already have his insurance.
that's what I thought I heard him
That's
say.
what I thought, yeah.
So this would be a moot point, and if they already have it.
Okay, hold on. We still have an amendment. Councillor Long, you wish to speak again?
Yeah, so with the information that's given, if the motion were to just, instead of telling them that they should have this insurance, maybe it'd be better to say it would be to their benefit to consider.
But they already have it.
Well, I know, but if we need to, if they already have it, we don't know that, we think they do according to Councillor Engel, that's what they reassured. But in general, we're just assuming. But I have a problem of directing somebody to, telling them if, we kind of told them that it might be a benefit to consider if they don't have. I think that would be a way of changing the motion that would probably sit better with everyone. Just consideration.
The track is getting worn. We've been around it so many times. Councillor Sheridan, followed by Councillor Long.
I was just gonna say, if they're watching this and listening, they're gonna get it, because we've talked so much about director's insurance. If they don't have it already, they're definitely gonna look into it.
Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. So I am grateful that Councillor Alonso seems to know that they have this directors and officers insurance, so that's all good. Why we don't know this? And that would be like assuming that, again, I could go back to other contracts that were struck that actually didn't actually end up being what they were told it was. So if it is that something we wish for them to hold, then we should ask for that in our agreement, not make an assumption that a body of people will actually have it, because if it does come to a large cost in order to hold that, then they may choose it, they cannot afford it. Well, there is a price tag to doing best business, and that putting anyone at risk is not good business. I would not want to be sitting here acting like a good landlord if I didn't want to protect the body of people who were going to sign that lease agreement, assuming that all things will go well. And it's uncomfortable discussion. It comes with a price tag. But in life, when you're trying to protect people, there is a cost, right? So I would just ask that they show proof that that would be provided. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Connell, please.
That's my exact words was, then we should be asking them just to show proof that they have it.
We have an amendment on the floor, and we will have to deal with that amendment.
Can I hear the amendment?
To amend the motion, it was moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Longmire to amend the motion that Section 6 be added to ACOS's Covenants 7C, requiring them to have directors and officers liability insurance.
They have it.
Are we ready? All right. All those in favor of the motion directing the insurance, please raise your hands. 1, 2, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Can you please repeat? I didn't hear what you said, sorry.
All those in favor of the motion, the amendment put forward by Councillor Hudson, that we direct them in the lease to have this insurance. All those in favor. Try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
Yes, moving on. I would make a motion that number 7, I guess, be added, requiring the insurance policies that they take out, or that basically the county be named as joint insured under the insurance policy.
Could you word that for us, please? It's an amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
what is
so I just want to rephrase it. I just want to rephrase it.
Okay.
Is that that the county be named as a joint insured on their insurance policies.
Yeah, okay.
On all insurance policies, on insurance policies?
Yes, all insurance policies.
All insurance policies.
Okay, hold on. You need someone to second that. There is no seconder. Thank you. You have further.
One more. I do not see, and I think it should be added to this lease, anything dealing with termination. And I would make a motion that that change be made.
Sorry, what change be made?
That termination clauses be added to the lease document.
Okay.
I mean,
No, I'm just making sure we know what we're doing. Is there a seconder to that?
I'm not seconding it for discussion because I'd like to know what reasons the termination.
Yeah, but the thing is, the motion says we should have termination. Good?
Oh boy.
Exit 7, termination. Let's go home. But I think you would like to hear Councillor Hudson's reasons.
Yeah.
Basically, my reason is simply that termination clauses in this agreement. I mean, those are put in for the benefit of both parties, okay? It's for their benefit. I mean, 2 years into this lease agreement, they may say, no, this is not going the way that we expected, right? And we would like to cease our management of the sports, right? So on that side, it is for their benefit. Another section has the termination side, is that the county may, for any number of reasons, want to terminate the lease. So there's 2 aspects to termination. One is from us and one is from them that need to be considered. And there are reasons why you wouldn't want to have provisions in there that deals with both sides.
Thank you. Comments?
Just that council wishes to have a termination clause. Staff will need the detailed terms and conditions of what those termination clauses will say.
Right here.
I can provide you with something.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I've heard the explanation, but my thought is this. Was there any reason why the termination agreement was not put in to begin with? Or is it just something that was left out? Or do we think we didn't need the termination agreement? What was the view of the staff?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, so the reason there's nothing there is we're entering into an agreement in good faith with all the terms and conditions that we've asked for. They haven't asked for anything, we've asked for all of them. And the dangerous part with the termination clause, if you say we can terminate without cause in 30 days, then they're not invested in the project, because the municipality can terminate it on them, and they can, and all their efforts are gone. And that's the same for them. We don't, if we make it too easy for them to say, okay, if they just decide they're having a rough spot for a month or two and say, well, we'll just hand you the keys today, then it makes it too easy for them to walk away as well. So it needs to be, both sides need to put in the time and effort for the lease to be successful, the project and the initiatives of the facility to be successful. So that's the reason why there's no termination clause. It is a fixed lease, a fixed term, which is appropriate. If there was no fixed term, then there would need to be some type of termination or a wind-up clause. But where it is a fixed term, it was not felt by staff that there was a need for an immediate termination clause.
Thank you.
Councillor Enslow, please.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, since it seems to be a talking point, I know that in the past, not the county, but in my previous experience, I've used a termination clause that's in there, but it's just worded around both parties would have to agree to terminate the contract, where you just couldn't, it would protect that, oh well, hands up, I'm done, from both sides. But if both parties agreed that the contract would be terminated fully, and that might suffice some of the concerns around termination.
Thank you. So the amendment is to insert termination wording. The CAO has indicated that he would like some idea of what council would like as termination wording. Is that correct? It's 11:24. We could pause this and move on to something else. And those who are interested could come up with some wording over the lunch hour. Or Councillor Hudson, if you have wording immediately to offer, that would be good.
I don't have it here with me, but it is available here in the county office. Worded, termination worded.
But the CAO has indicated that the staff would like to hear the language we would like, because I've heard now 2 or 3 variations.
Well, if I may be specific, if the MOU with the Bridgetown Community Recreation Association will pull up, you will see that there are termination clauses in that agreement, and I would suggest perhaps that be looked at as considered wording.
Correct.
And they could be pulled up and it could be read.
Is somebody doing that now?
I believe the wording that the councillor is referring to is that this agreement shall continue to be in full force unless one party gives at least 120 days written notice to the other of its wish to terminate or renegotiate this agreement.
There you go.
Is that the wording you would advance?
Yes.
Can you send me this on?
So maybe word the motion, if that's the motion you're making, which is that word. Would that suffice?
Can you read it again?
Decision of council, if I'm the ACOS, I don't agree with that, because they could go spend $20,000 or $50,000 on infrastructure or developments, and then council can give you 4 months notice and we're terminating. It's a dangerous clause for them. It's good for us, but dangerous for them.
Councillor Crowe?
Where is that, Don?
It's a bit of a conundrum. We do have, it's a termed lease, and it's fraught with, I mean, I'm sure they're worried about what they want to do. We're worried about what they are going to attempt to do, and hopefully be successful at. I tend to agree with the CAO that it could put us off on a bad footing from the start to say, well, this is what we think we'd like to do, but oh, by the way, if it doesn't work out, and on their side as well, let's say they run into funding problems or volunteer problems, difficulties, it opens the door to say, well, you know, it's almost like a prenup. If it doesn't work out, we'll part. So I guess my thought would be a lot of work's gone into what's there. We've attempted and we've made a couple changes. I don't know if the termination clause is going to be that beneficial when it might be definitely not beneficial, or could be. So I don't think I could vote for 120 days is not much to put in there. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I just don't, I see it, like I say, I use the word prenuptial. It's kind of, maybe we get us off on the wrong foot.
Okay, so we've had a variance of opinion. We've heard the view of the CAO that it might not be appropriate to do that. Is that right?
Essentially, you're making the lease essentially won't be a 5-year lease anymore, it'll be a 120-day lease.
Yeah.
Because every day you can give 120 days notice. So if you're the other party, it can be much more difficult probably for them to invest in the facility or invest in the project because they know it could end in 120 days. So that's why when you do contracts, you do long-term contracts. So if you're going to hire, we talked this morning about our waste contract, we hire it for 5 years or whatever the term is. We don't have a termination clause, so we can terminate it in 120 days because they're going to have to invest millions in trucks and equipment, and we can't just pull the rug out from under them. So this is the same thing. If they're going to be asked to do this, develop marketing campaigns, promotional campaigns, buy and install signage, and buy equipment, materials, resources, all that stuff, and then we can terminate it within 120 days. They're not going to do any of that stuff properly. And then we're going to make it more difficult for them to be successful, which is what we want to do.
Thank you. I just want to thank our CAO for that. He's just spoke. Those words are powerful because we do want them to be a success. If we were to put a termination clause in there, and just like our CAO has just said, 120 days and a moving target, for every day that passes another 120, their investment in it will be next to zero, I can assure you. And furthermore, what does that say about our trust and commitment to them, that we feel that strongly that it would be like turning the tide and saying, oh, now there are days they've been a success for the past year and a half, we're going to take it back and we'll run it now that they've done all the hard work. They deserve to be a success. So I think the termination clause is a moot point.
Thank you. We move to a decision, please. Would you like the motion ready, the amendment ready again, please?
It was moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Cotw to amend the motion to add a termination clause to the lease.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. 1. All those opposed? The motion is defeated. We have, I think, finished for now with Councillor Hudson's point. And is there any further discussion on this document?
Very good.
Councillor Dunn.
Thank you so much. I don't know if it's really discussion, sir, or more of a statement. A cost gets to run this facility when we sign the lease, and it's pretty much as they see fit at their discretion, as long as they follow the lease. Nothing in the lease has a fee schedule set, and probably it's not our business what they charge. They've got to work that out themselves. I agree. But we as a county, we pay the Department of Education money every year to keep our schools running in the county. And that. And I believe that it's only right that it charges the Department of Education for the use of this facility. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cotw, please.
I just want to thank you for allowing discussion. We can read this home individually and have our own views on how things are worded. And have a good discussion is never bad.
Thank you. All right, all in favor indicate, raise your hand, say yes.
Yes.
So this is on the motion.
This is on the motion as amended, the original motion. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you.
May I just ask a question?
Please.
Will the lease document have an effective date of January 1st, 2024, or today's date?
Well, what we've just done what we just done is recommend to council that council approve.
But once it gets done, then they will be asked to sign it right away. We will sign it right away, but the effective date in the lease isn't until January 1st. So the document is signed, they can go get insurance, they can go get funding, apply for grants, all that stuff. But they just don't actually take possession until January 1st.
Okay. Page 140, Fire Services Review. Councillor Connell, please.
So this should be a recommendation to council.
Yes.
Yes.
I move that municipal council authorize an additional $14,000 in funding as an unfunded liability for the awarding of fire services review contract.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Hudson. Discussion. Councillor Sheridan.
Just a simple question. It doesn't say where the funding is coming from, the additional 14,000.
It's an unfunded liability. So the way it works is we have 75,000 budget, 75,000 in the budget. We know it's going to be 89. So this motion essentially is authorizing staff in that budget line to spend $89,000. So we're going to, that budget line will be over budget by $14,000. That's where it gets funded from.
Out of the operational reserve, or?
No, just on the operational budget. So
the full budget, okay.
That's right, so staff have to find $14,000 in savings somewhere else to balance the budget.
Okay.
In the past, you've taken money from reserves, that's just not appropriate, it's just.
And that's what we're used to doing. That's why I asked the question.
No, you don't do that, that's, you get in trouble for that. So this is, we're going to be over budget, we know we're going to be over budget, and staff have to find some savings somewhere else to make the difference, so we still balance the budget at the end of the year. If you take it out of reserves, then you get into trouble because then you keep spending more and more and more. That shouldn't be the case. We got to find some savings stuff to do. So.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Further discussion?
That's what I wanted to hear.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Trans-County Transportation Society. Are there comments or questions for Councillor Price? There was a black vehicle driving around.
I'm sorry?
A black vehicle with all sorts of letters and symbols and everything. They haven't changed their colors, have they?
I don't believe there's been a wholesale change. I'm not aware of it. We'll ask the CAO to check when he observes the fleet next week. But there is at least, I think, this month, later this month, I guess. There's one that is a darker, a smaller, like extended van. I think that does have darker markings on it. But
Thank you.
I'll ask if I'll check on it.
All right, we are now on page 143. And this would be, is this you? Yes, Councillor LeBlanc, please.
This is on the Climate Change Action Plan Review Committee. I move that municipal council appoint Maura Braun, Clifford Drysdale, and Gregory Hemming as citizen members of the Climate Change Action Plan Review Committee, satisfying section 28.2 of the policy for a term ending November 30th, 2024.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion. Councillor Gunn.
I remember years ago, former Councillor Hemming, Gregory Hemming, was stating that he actually didn't own land in Annapolis County, that it was his wife's land. But anyway, I'll leave that aside.
I'm sorry, how is that germane?
Well, it says at the bottom, citizen members shall be persons who presently reside or own. Okay, sorry.
He resides.
Yeah, he resides.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carried. Councillor LeBlanc.
Okay, so the second motion is I move that the nominating committee recommending particular councillors be appointed to the Climate Change Action Plan Review Committee. It was agreed that the councillors should be given the opportunity to volunteer for service on the committee at the September 12th meeting, which is today, of the committee as a whole. So
This isn't a motion.
That's right. But the next part is the motion. Could you read the next part, please?
I move that municipal council put the appointment of council members to the Climate Change Action Plan Review Committee to a vote.
Thank you. Who would like to serve on that committee?
We need 3 councillors.
Councillor Longmire. Councillor Bartow.
Over Street.
And Enslow.
And Councillor Enslow. Are there others who would like to serve on that committee? Okay, do you wish to make a motion, Councillor LeBlanc?
Yes, I do. Having 3 councillors, I move that Councillor Longmire, Councillor Bartow, and Councillor Enslow be appointed as the 3 councillors for the Climate Change Action Plan Review Committee for a term ending November 30th, 2024. Did I miss anything on that motion, Mr. Chairman?
Good. Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Sheridan? All in favor?
Just before you do that, to clarify, October is the election, and is that the intent that it goes until the next election? Because some of the members of council may not re-offer, may not be on. Is it meant to be October 31st?
All our meetings are up to November 30th.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was the seconder, sorry?
Councillor Sheridan. And I think those of us who are leaving leave when someone takes the step to take our place. 144.
You didn't vote. Did you vote?
You have to vote. You haven't voted on it.
We
All
have
in
it.
favor?
That's your fault. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, 144. Could you explain, Deputy Warden, what's happening on next Tuesday or Wednesday?
Is that?
Yeah, see that?
Yeah, so next Wednesday is referred to the second bullet point on our report for the phase 2 funding announcement, which is the bulk of the funding that they pointed us for the electric buses. That large conversation. Phase 1 was a couple $100,000 million for a study, and phase 2 is the actual purchase of those things. And so they're announcing that I can't remember how many $1 million it is in money to purchase electric buses and hybrid buses for King's Transit.
Thank you.
So that's next Tuesday. That'll be cool.
That's a call.
So you said electric and hybrid?
Currently, King's Transit's plan is they gave us a proposal that they asked for us to sign into. We weren't very interested in it. Mm-hmm. And their current plan was to still move ahead with a similar system. They kind of include our routes in their
Because I heard they have 2 electric buses.
Well, technically they don't have anything yet because the phase 1 study hasn't been, the RFP for phase 1 hasn't come back yet. So they've got a preliminary thought and they have a consultant hired to tell them what they should have. I think that's phase 1.
Anyway, there's a ceremony on Wednesday.
Good order, yeah.
We'll get the info then. They're going to announce funding for something.
Okay, because I was talking to someone that's set in to oversee the IMS. And he told me that they already had 2 buses. But he also told me that they had a really bad experience with financial problems within the organization. And I see that the applicant's already declined. One applicant's already declined.
Oh, that's Valley Waste, yeah. They, both their auditing processes have been pushing forward.
Okay. I guess that's it. We are now adjourned. Thanks very much. Could I have a motion to go in camera, please? Right. Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Sheridan. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those are in accordance with sections 22(2)C personnel, E contract negotiations, and F litigation or potential litigation.
Thank you. Hello. Committee of the Whole is now adjourned. Thank you.